this segment called It's a Church, It's a Mosque, it's Hagia Sophia. And regarding Hagia Sophia, we're talking about the structure which for 1,000 years was considered the largest church in the world until a larger one was built in Spain. In fact, these that date could be backdated probably a couple hundred years to the time of Emperor Constantine in the fourth century. However, uh, there was some question about the acceptance of Christianity. Uh, Constantine being the first Christian emperor, Christianity was just taking hold in the Roman Empire at that time. But let's be honest, Hagia Sophia is in Istanbul, which is in Turkey, but more than just Turkey. Istanbul and the Bosphorus Sea there representing the port of entry really to the Black Sea, which opens the gateway to Russia itself and the Iron Curtain, and perhaps one of the most, if not the most strategically important sites in the world. It's been known as a religious edifice, a church, a mosque. And now some of the historians say it was not a church, but a basilica to a church, which I'm not gonna, you gotta start pulling out your dictionary. But what the Hagia Sophia has been more than anything else throughout history was the location of many conquests of critical importance. I myself, as a Christian and a pilgrim online of Christian sites, revere it as the holy wisdom that it is, a site revering Jesus for Christians. And some of the paintings, the murals depicted, Jesus and Mary, which is very appropriate for the location in certain interpretations. However, I think we have to be realistic. Hagia Sophia is a militarily important site there in Istanbul, symbolic victory as a main site in Istanbul, that anytime you should conquer Istanbul or conquer Turkey, you definitely want your soldiers to have a field day at the Hagia Sophia, and many armies have had their plunder of the Hagia Sophia. It has been reconstructed in different styles throughout the ages, as I said, beginning in the fourth century, where there was a structure. It was built with a wooden roof, and some of its successor buildings were also built with wood, and it burned to the ground in riots, and possibly a couple of the few successor buildings on that site also burned to the ground in riots. If you want to call them riots, these are political upheavals. We're at the crossroads of the Roman Empire and the Eastern Church there, the Eastern Empire, where they're first called Byzantine. Uh, we're talking about, Slavic, Russian, Orthodox is how it's called these days. This is conflating, religion once again with military matters. There are few places where you can get away with doing that, but I'm not sure if Istanbul and Turkey, you can really tell a straight story that there is no military purpose to these conquests of the Hagia Sophia, whether in the courtrooms, as they now have shut down the site, which was considered a museum for a better part of a century, now once again a religious site as a mosque. And again, the Western argument that it was a basilica. The problem is, this is a place that people go, countries go to conquer, to make conquest, not just on Turkey, which, probably a lot of the people of Turkey will just ride through the multiple armies that pass through Turkey on their way to the Middle East. But as far as the Russians are concerned, they may not feel so good about Western armies, um, you know, making legal arguments, legal claims to the Hagia Sophia. It's part of the Russian extended defense, as I said, what they call the Iron Curtain around Russia, which is in some ways impenetrable. And Turkey, of course, is the site of the most historical war, which is the Trojan War. Of course, Troy is a little bit to the south, I believe, and on the coast as compared to Istanbul, which is up into the Bosphorus Sea. But nevertheless, when Helen of Troy, was taken captive in Turkey from Menelaus, her husband, her Greek husband, that began the Trojan War. And of course, they say she was associated with Saint Helena and also Mary the Magdalene. So Helen of Troy, perhaps the most important woman in history, she is all tied up in this site and is all about the conquest east and west. If it was just Turkey, then possibly you could get away with this battle, but it's really a surrogate for the conflict between the Romans and the Orthodox, the Western Europeans and the Eastern Europeans. Earth Faith here, signing out.